I'm ready. You guys ready? Yeah, let's do this. Hello! Oh, let me move my screen. It's going to take a little adjusting, as usual. Yes, we are still on XSplit. I have been messing around with with OBS, but I haven't got it sorted in time to do the show. So, it's old school for us. I see lots of people in. How many saying? It's got about 35 watching? Hello, people. It's a lovely sunny day, though, isn't it? Yes. Palm trees. Shut up. Right, we are expecting a visit from our Fredicus tonight. Okay? I don't know what conversations are going on in the chat, but sounds like some interesting ones. Now, like I say, we are expecting Fredicus tonight. Yeah, he's downstairs. He's just finished some jobs, and then he's going to join us probably in the next half hour or so, I would imagine. Yeah, he's just got to get his own work done first. Now, the reason Fredicus is joining us is because we need to talk colour. Or specifically, we need to talk watercolours. And I'm not talking the paints here. Okay, what I'm actually talking about is resin. Give me a sec. As part of one of my, shall we say, personal development, this year, I really want to get my head round resin. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so I've been messing with tinting. Now, at the minute, I've got a whole load of experiments over there. You'll get a terrain lab, yeah? And I'm just messing with the various concentrations at the minute. But what I want Fred come up and have a look at my tint colours. And we're going to have a bit of a play to see what we can mix to get more realistic watercolour. Because, obviously, that's a regal blue, isn't it? You know what I mean? And so it's not quite right. Do a YouTube refresh. Yeah, do a YouTube refresh, mate. Hey, man, where are you? I'm here. He has that row of middle fingers again. So Tim can see me, so it must be working. You had me worried for a second there, guys. And so basically, I've been messing around with a lot of tints and that sort of stuff. Yeah, I have got something to show you. Back up again. I finished off the stone circle for the Dark Age Let's Make series. This is just the central monolith. Yeah. So you should be having that tutorial on Sunday, fingers crossed. Assuming I can get the editing done Friday night. By the time I get home tonight, I'm just not going to be. The other Fred is here now. Well, hello, Fred. It's his Burma Build. Yeah, this is my Burma Build. Well, as I say, just let me close that off. Yeah, you'll actually have a terrain tutorial. I know it's taken me a while, but as you can see from the back and as you can see from me, I'm back in the saddle and I'm feeling right. I've got about 7 videos on the go. Yeah, the monolith, that's the first, and then we've got all sorts coming after that. I just heard a door go, so this could be our Fredicus. Speak of the devil, come on in, Fred.
Hello there.
Hello, buddy. Ooh, cup of tea, that's a good idea.
Yes, I'm fully equipped.
Fully equipped. Right, let me find you a chair, sir. Can I grab a lift home tonight?
Yeah, of course, mate, yeah.
That'd be great, mate.
Problem. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, actually, Pat asked me if he wanted one, if he wanted to lift.
Yeah, Kez is off doing a thing, you know what I mean? And I sat down and I looked, you know, my bike's chained up downstairs in China Hall.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I could bike back, and it's like, after a Thursday show, that's a long bike home.
So it's going to be a long day, yeah?
Yeah. Well, Billy, what time did I get in? I got in about, what, 9:30?
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it's been a long day for me. I'm just dry brushing palm trees at the minute.
Was that what they are? I was going to ask you.
Yeah, what you call it? I've picked up these cheap, what you call it, Chinese palm trees, and they're bloody awful. Yeah, really awful.
Yeah.
But with a bit of like work with them,
Tweaking.
yeah, you can make them into something quite nice. Now, it's
Right,
something
right.
I've played around with in the past, but never really nailed. Okay, and so I'm having a proper play now. They've been primed twice. The first one came out a bit ready.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, I can't even find a palm tree that looks remotely like that. You know, that sort of colour to it.
Yeah,
So I've gone
yeah.
for a more umber brown. I'm
Yeah.
just in the process of dry brushing them up.
Pretty good, yeah. Yeah, like a raw umber, which is like a greenish brown.
Yeah, let me find you a stool, mate, so you're
Yeah.
not standing.
Good for me to stand, actually. It's good.
Well, let me get you a stool anyway, mate, and then that way, if you want to sit, you don't have to stand.
I did a little colour swatch.
Oh, he's
Just
prepared. Well, that's for our resin stuff, isn't it?
To give us an inroad into the watercolours, yeah, the colours of the water, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. See, I love Fred for this stuff like this. Can I show him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he just gets crayons. And he nails all the colours first time. But that's 40 years of practice, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, what I've done is I've actually enumerated them on the back. So remember, I mentioned earlier on Saladin green.
Yeah.
That's Saladin green.
Right. Oh, right.
Which is kind of like a greyish green.
Yeah.
It's actually a mineral, saladinite.
Saladinite.
Saladinite, yeah, it's a mineral. That is, yeah.
Is it?
It's mine, yeah.
Where from?
Do you know, I really couldn't tell you, actually.
Well, that surprises me, sir.
Yeah, like an iron silicate, I think. But yeah, I mean, some of these are actual minerals, yeah.
Right, let me get a few of these done, just so I get the row done at least.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I hate finishing a job halfway through. So obviously we've got Fredicus here. If we got any paint questions, yeah, Fred's the man to ask. I'm just wondering if our guests from earlier in Ben and Lauren.
Right.
I'm awful with names, you know I am.
Yeah,
but Ben and Lauren, if you're watching, hello. She made me a palm tree.
Oh, nice one. From paper.
Yeah, she made a paper palm tree for my studio.
That's very clever.
I had some visitors. Ben's come over from Australia, and he's got a girlfriend over here. Yeah, and what do you call it? They came to visit the studio because it's like a tourist destination for him. Yeah, she asked him, yeah, what would you like to do when you're over in England? Because he's coming over from Australia for a month. She says, go visit Stoke. Oh. And her reaction was, why?
Most people's reaction would be probably why.
Yeah, why? For me and Fred, apparently.
Oh, that's very, very.
Oh, is it summer solstice? We should burn something to please the gods. To be truthful, I imagine the two Nicks will be up on a hillside tonight, then, if it's summer solstice.
I think Nick Clark was already up on a hillside up at up at Derbyshire.
I think he's a high priest or something. Something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, he is Wiccan.
Is he?
I think so,
I thought he was.
Or something like that. Yeah.
We've got a couple of the MDF guys and the wood guys here. You know, they both of them belong in a woodshed deep in the woods, don't they? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's nothing I haven't told them directly to the face. Little Nick. Yeah, you've got Big Nick and Little Nick. Yeah, and Little Nick's sort of short, but quite chunky, isn't he?
They're both big.
And then you've got Big Nick, who's really tall
and
chunky. Yeah, Big Nick used to be a bouncer. I don't know what Little Nick used to do, but Little Nick does he does all the woodwork and the engraving and all that sort of stuff. Does a lot of Celtic and Wicca stuff and that sort of stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, making little badges and things.
Yeah. And runes for casting and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I was chatting with him outside this one time. We were talking about where people think we work. You know what I mean? And he turned around. And he says, "People think I work in a shed down in the woods." And I just turned around to him. And you got to understand, he's got long hair. He's got this big bushy beard and everything. I just turned around to him. And I said, "That it's because you look like you should." Either that or a hobbit hole. But they're both really good guys.
Yeah, they do some very nice work, actually.
Yeah.
So that laser cutting that they do is really, really finely.
Yeah.
Done.
It's not our sort of laser cutting. They make like furniture and boxes and gift boxes and all that sort of stuff, and like like specialist shelving, like themed shelving for things like Avengers and stuff like. I'm not sure if they should. But...
Yeah, Holly Davidson signs.
Yeah.
All done all carved out of the wood. They're beautifully done, actually, very nicely done.
But it's very handy having a serious laser cutter on site.
Oh yes, yeah.
Gary says, have you got my email? I probably will have, Gary. I haven't checked it as of yet. Yeah, aquamarine with a touch of white. I don't know. What? Aquamarine blue with a touch of white? What? Hey, what?
Yeah, that's aquamarine right there.
Is that aquamarine?
Yeah, that's.
I always thought
like
aquamarine was, what do you call it, was a more bluey.
No, it's actually quite green. You get that colour in like the Pacific quite a lot, where the colour of the ocean is very, very clear. You know, and you get coral on the bottom and like a light sand.
Right.
And you get that aquamarine colour, yeah, because the water reflects. The light goes straight through the water because it's so lucid, and you know, it's clear. No pollution.
Yeah.
Or little pollution, I should say. And then it bounces back again, and you get this very light, pale, greenish blue.
Oh, let me get these nailed, and then we'll get the resin tints out, and we'll start having a play. Yeah. Now, as always, if you've got any questions, ask away. Yeah, there they go. Hi, Mel. What are you making? I'm just painting up some palm trees, mate. Part of my big Burma build. I think once they actually go in, they'll look really nice. My Burma build is lacking palm trees.
Right, yes. You're going to need palm trees for Burma, yeah. It's a dense, what you call it, rainforest, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, are palm trees, what do you call it? Are palm trees evergreen?
Yes, they are.
So they would be in a rainforest.
They would be in a rainforest.
This was one of the questions because you've got two sorts of forests in Burma. Okay, you've got rainforest or monsoon forest.
It's like deciduous.
And then they have what's called a tropical forest.
Yeah.
Now the monsoon forest is evergreen. Yeah, because it's constantly wet and that sort of.
Right.
Was it? No. The monsoon one was evergreen and the tropical one was deciduous. And I was sort of questioning, would you get palm trees in an evergreen situation? But if they are evergreen and they don't shed their leaves seasonally.
As far as I'm aware, I'm not aware of palm trees actually doing that. But there again, they tend to be in a climate that's all year round. Quite mild. So you know they wouldn't. And a palm tree with no leaves would look like that.
Yeah, it'd look really weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The only time you see them like that is after there's been a hurricane. Blows everything off.
Of course, you lived in Puerto Rico, didn't you?
I did, yes. Yeah, for a brief period.
So you've seen plenty of palm trees. Actually, you probably know really well how to paint palm trees, don't you?
You know, the funny thing
Don't be critical. Don't be critical, Fred.
The strange thing is I hardly ever put them in pictures, and I have no idea why.
Really?
Yeah, I know, it's really weird. Yeah, if there's palm trees in the photograph I'm going to do a painting from, I tend to take them out.
See, he's a proper terrainiac. He hates palm trees too.
I can't explain why that is.
I'll tell you what it is. It's a terrain thing. We just don't like palm trees.
Yeah, they're kind of awkward looking things. They're very, very tall.
Yeah.
So, I remember coming in California, crossing California, some palm trees. I went up in a tower, William Randolph Hearst's castle,
right,
in Northern California, and it's like a kind of neo-Gothic kind of palace up on the top of a mountain,
right,
or a great big hill. And I went up on the top of a tower, and these palm trees outside were so tall. They were virtually on the same level as me.
They do grow. I've seen some photos, and they are huge things.
I never realised.
They just keep going until they get the sunlight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. They do. They're really, really tall. Some of them. Yeah.
You know.
Surprisingly so.
So yeah, very much so. I mean, there's about 230 different variants as well.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I always sat down and I thought, palm trees are palm trees.
Yeah.
You know, there's just willow tree, palm tree, but actually the actual variants on palm trees, there's tons of them. Check out. Question: did you see Mrs. Fred's comments in the chat a while ago? No, I didn't see it. It's Pat in the comments.
Sounds like she's jumped in there somewhere.
Yeah. Kalulu and me. I'm from Florida. Palm trees are like weeds here. Question: having spent time working on these palm trees, would you recommend them still to us lot watching? Bees? Oh, in general, doing palm trees, I'd always recommend doing terrain. With regards to these, tarting up cheap palm trees, yeah, you can get good effects with them. You know, you've just got to get it right, which is what I'm trying to work out now. These were actually primed, painted once, and then, they've been reprimed.
Yeah.
because after I put the primer on, they came off a little too red, and like I say, I sat back and it's like, no, go back, start again, yeah, get the right sort of brown on them, and it's looking better. Once I get the silvering in,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's the issue. When you look at palm trees, there's a lot of whiteness to them, a lot of silver.
The banded.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, yeah.
Bit like sun bleaching almost.
Yeah, almost like the segmented.
Yeah. Well, you've got the segmented, so they'll catch it by using dry brushing. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So if I come down, I'll be able to just catch the edges and give them that silver look. What I've got to do is I've just got to transition. If I do it too soon, if I just go straight to silver now after putting the brown on, it'll be too harsh of a transition.
Yeah.
So what I'll have to do is I'll have to mix a brown with a silver or a grey, do it like an overbrush as a mid, and then go in finally with a light dry brush of the silver just to highlight, the extremities. It comes up good. The thing is, I've already done that technique on the red ones, and it looked good, although the red was what was throwing them.
Right.
So I already know, that with this colour, I'll be fine.
Useful tip if you're ever doing anything like that is to do what is called dry brushing, which is that when you put the colour on top of the colour you've already put on, you actually want it to skip certain areas.
Yeah, that's what we do. Dry brushing is a common technique.
Dry brushing, which is using the pigment kind of like quite thickly.
A bit like that.
Not too much medium. Yeah. So it's not too fluid.
What's the artist term for dry brushing?
Dry brushing.
Oh, come on. No, you said there was an artist term.
Yeah, in oil painting it's called scumbling.
Scumbling.
Yeah, scumbling, which is exactly the same thing, really. You dry brush it over a colour that's already on, and it skips certain areas, so the colour underneath shows through in patches. Yeah, there's an art to it.
There certainly is. There certainly is. Pardon me. I mean, us lot, we know dry brushing inside out. Do you know what I mean?
Very useful for terrain building because when you've got your base colour on and you've got an undulated surface, you dry brush over that with another colour. You're going to get that natural.
It's how we do all our rock textures. It's how we do all our ground textures. It's quite a common technique in actual wargaming. Yeah. A lot more than blending colours and stuff like that.
Right, yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, because it's an easy technique for applying highlights. I mean, the gaming companies, what they do is they produce their paints in shades. So you can just pick a lighter shade and dry brush with it, and you get a natural highlight. Yeah, and so that's quite already sort of like really au fait in our work. Yeah.
Do you ever put sand in the paint?
Texture in it, texture in paint. But quite often we'll mix sand, bit of PVA to get a textured paint. Chinchilla dust works really well for that. It's a really fine sand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with terrain because if you put normal sand in, you get this. It either goes in too thin and then it looks speckled, or it goes in too thick.
It goes in clumps.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So chinchilla dust works really well for making textured paint. I mean, the other thing is we use textured spray paint.
Oh right, yes.
Yeah, so something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
And it comes out with a stone texture.
Valspar, that's an it's an old company. They've been making paint for a long time.
Yeah, I've never heard of them.
Really?
Well, you know what it's like. Unless you mix in the circles, you don't, do you?
Well, I think in the 50s and 60s, I think they were going.
Make sure I don't miss any parts. We keep palm trees here in Texas. To wrap them in winter. You have to wrap your palm trees to stop them from freezing. Looking for ideas for cactus for my Malifaux board. I make them out of milliput, mate. I noticed what you said, when they trim them. Smart move. They're not easy to trim, especially getting taller.
Yes. Yeah.
Fred's missus just told me this was on. Hi, Ewan. Did it cost that? They're chatting about damage. They are. There's Ben from today. Hiya, Ben. Hello, Ben and Laura. We've already shown off your palm tree.
Yes, it's very impressive, actually. I like that.
Oh, you've got skills, Laura has. Bit of an artist herself. She did turn around and said she could. Terrain isn't really her thing, but she could quite happily sit and watch you paint all day. Yeah, so we're going to have to get you doing this live malarkey because I reckon a few. I can understand that. I love watching Fred paint as well, to be perfectly honest. Right, That's that road done at least. So I could stop there. I couldn't stop halfway through the row. It wouldn't be right.
No, you're right. So you got before and after now.
Yeah. I might watch. What I might do is stage them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so I've got a nice visual representation of the actual stages, because I've only got 3 stages.
Yeah.
On top of the prime.
Yeah.
So I should be able to do that. But fingers crossed, they should. They should turn out all right, guys. So yes, Ben in the chat came to visit me today. We had a good time. Yeah, stayed for a couple of hours. We all sat here while we worked out how much tint I was putting in resin and whether it would cause it to set fire. Well, there's a ratio. If you go over 10% in resin, it starts smoking because it's an endothermic reaction.
Right. Yes.
So all of a sudden we're in a whoa.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly the same as oil paint. It doesn't dry by evaporation. It dries by oxidization.
Right.
And as you know, oxidization is a slow burn.
Yeah.
So it literally burns itself onto the canvas by chemical reaction, and you have to be careful with your rags. Always put them in a tin bin with the lid on, because they can spontaneously combust with the linseed oil, which is actually.
This is why I work in acrylics.
Yes.
I'd have burnt this place down. You know what I'm like.
Yeah, the fire brigade's well aware of this. Actually, we're very familiar with artist studios quite often burned down because of the linseed oil.
I wonder if that's why we have that lockbox rule. The metal lockbox rule.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. Because it's any combustible material like that is
technically as part of our sort of like leases for these studios, we're supposed to keep all artistic materials in a metal box.
Yes.
For fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Bobo. I'd be better off cladding the room in metal.
But you're okay because you work in water-based medium, most of it, so that doesn't really count. I mean,
to be truthful, if I
look at for me, really. So.
Yeah, your oils.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I've got is my alcohols and stuff like that, and they're in metal containers naturally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've got turpentine with dittos in metal tin.
Yeah. So I think I'm all right. Callum's got a question for us. In the UK, is there any sort of party supply store? Look for margarita drink set. Right, okay, I've got no idea what that conversation is. Question, hey Mel, my latest endeavour is a trench build like yours, but I'm probably about 1/3, 1/4 of yours. I'm thinking about a bunker, mortar pit and underground room covered with a wooden thatched roof. Is there anything else I could add? Looking to have a main board and 2 corners modular. To be truthful, I'd suggest against adding anything else, mate. You can get this situation where you go a bit OTT and you lose the project in elements. Trenches were trenches. The vast majority of them were just simple open trenches with fire steps. And I think if you put too many elements on there, you'll lose the trench works. You want to look at about 1/3 for sort of feature elements on a terrain piece. So if you're doing a big trench board, or a big long trench, 1/3 of the space along that trench should be for like mortar pits and bunkers. Otherwise, it looks too crowded. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you're going to invest all that time in putting all those fortifications in, why bother build a trench? Just build a command bunker or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, don't. I know you're looking for more things to put in it to make it cooler, but ironically, less is more in these situations. If you clutter the piece with so many things, your eye just gets dragged all over the place. Whereas if you've got a bit of space, you can then set those pieces, your little feature things, in. And it's got space around it for the eye to settle and actually enjoy it without being dragged off to something to the side.
Yeah. I think in most warfare scenarios, trenches are just a temporary affair. They're only really built there just as a temporary pit stop, either retreating or advancing.
Well, I mean, trenches are always
World War One, where it's all got bogged down.
Well, I mean, even in World War One, the only reason it got bogged down is because the Germans picked the best land for their trenches.
My grandfather was in the cavalry in World War One, and I know that sounds like cavalry in World War One. But yeah. When it first started off, it was actually World War One was quite mobile.
Yeah.
They did have cavalry and infantry units moving around. It was only after about 6 months to 9 months it actually bogged down into the trench warfare, and then the cavalry got sidelined back to pulling the artillery forward and doing, you know, kind
admin roles and running
forwards and backwards with
well,
material.
well, you wouldn't do a charge to a trench, would you? No, you just wouldn't. Trenches, actually, from a warfare point of view, trenches are basically an indication of where combat becomes static.
Yeah, static. Yeah.
Yeah, the moment you're not moving further back, you dig in.
Yeah.
I mean, from a British Army point of view, if you're staying somewhere overnight, you dig your fire pits. You know what I mean? Your fire trenches, and you get in them.
Hold the possession.
Because you're static for the night, and you want defences. So that's. I mean, if you look at Ukraine now, is it round? Where is it? There's a city, and there's something like just under 800 miles of trench works around this city that they've dug in the past year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the trench system, simply because they've got this thing going on with Russia. Or supposedly Russia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And combat has become static, and they've gone defensive. Yeah, you're right. I'm getting carried away. You are, Callum. Just go with what you've got, mate, and make that beautiful.
A little bit of rusty corrugated iron here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Can't resist that.
But make it modular and providing I don't change paints and techniques, I could add more sections with features at a later date. Yeah, you certainly can. The key point for if you're going to add more sections at a later date, is underneath your sections, whenever you paint something on it, put that paint underneath the base and write what it is. So in a year's time, when you come back to it, and you're like, right, how do I match the colours for this? All your colours and all your stuff are actually written underneath your base. Yeah, just a little pro tip there for you for like long-term projects. I'm quite lucky. I don't need to do that anymore because I can go back on my videos and watch what I did and what colours I use, and I often do. You know what I mean? Especially with my Burma build, I'll go back and right, which flocks did I use, and I'll go back and look at the actual video. Yeah, because the Burma build's been going on for like a couple of years now. Yeah, and so there's a big space in between when I started it, when I finished it, or when I did something more, and then the next stage. And so
I think when you're painting anything at all, you have to have like a system. And if it's a complicated thing that you're painting, with lots of different colours, lots of different values, lots of different tones in it, then it can get like mind-boggling. And people over the years have developed all different kind of techniques to deal with that. One of them is numbering the colours.
Yeah.
Painting by numbers. Well, painting by numbers actually is derived from a very old technique of actually numbering all the different colour values that you've got. And a few years ago, I saw a documentary about a fresco in Tibet that's in a temple that was being, refurbished because it was all kind of deteriorating. It was like 8th century or something, really, really old. And salt was coming through the wall. It was deteriorating the paint. So they actually had to take the paint off and put it back on again, kind of to repaint it, basically. And when they were taking the paint was falling off, actually. They found numbers underneath all the areas where they numbered the colour, so that the painter would actually know what colour to put on that little bit. And this is 8th century we're talking about, so painting by numbers goes back a long, long way.
It's what we do. Very clever. I recently similar way when the Canadians came back to them having to you can do that when you have a long break. You think you know the colours, and you'll often realise quite often that you paint something and it doesn't look quite right, and you realise there's a shade somewhere in that's off. You know what I mean? So put them on the base if it's a long-term project, or just photograph it and then stick it in your Google Drive in a separate photo. So photograph what you've done and have the colour next to it, the physical part where you can see the label, just so you've got that reference. The one on the base is quite a good one, you know what I mean? Yeah, because it's one of those that you really can, as long as you've got that piece, you'll have your reference, Mr. Fred, how many different blues greens should I use for a Norwegian fjord?
Norwegian fjord,
that's quite cold, isn't it?
Yeah, that's northern hemisphere, so you'd probably need like coolish blues for that, but it depends how deep the water is. I mean, if it's very, very deep, it's going to be a deep blue.
Which is quite often, because the fjords are quite often mountainous, because they're glacial, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, they were.
They were literally carved out by the glaciers.
Yeah.
Which is why they have that sort of weird path. You know what I mean? Where you've got like the sharp mountains and the bank sort of narrows out between them, because that's the glacial slope that was narrowed down as the ice came down.
Yes, yes. The Germans used to put their pocket battleships in them because the RAF couldn't bomb them very easily in the fjords.
Yeah. Bryn, what you call it? He uses a notebook for keeping his notes.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good idea as well. Yeah, yeah. But the fjord colour should be a pretty deep blue, but not too pure a blue, because Northern Hemisphere water tends to be slightly greyish. So use a blue, deep blue, but put a little bit of brown in it just to break the blue a little bit. So it's not just a pure blue, it's like slightly greyish blue.
Slightly greyish blue. Well, we're going to mess with tints in just a minute because I've got this done, so we'll get this cleared up. Tim's just said in the army they had to dig a pit to put our generators in to keep them quiet. Never made any sense to me since we were repeatedly firing 155mm howitzers and they're not exactly quiet.
Very quiet.
Do you know, I used to do something similar. Yeah, I got attached to Royal Signals and they use these radio wagons, these radio relay wagons.
I've seen them, yeah.
Yeah. And they're powered by 3.5 kVA generators.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is...
Great big things, aren't they?
Yeah, huge things on the wagon. And they're to power the radio sets and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And what you're supposed to do is you get the exhaust and you put it under the hessian which goes around the vehicle, which hides the vehicle's shadow.
Yeah.
When you're looking at something, you're trying to spot something, quite often you spot things because you can see the shadow under them. And that's where our eye. So they put these hessian skirts around them to remove the shadow. It's part of the camouflaging. Yeah. And then they put the exhaust under to muffle the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a bit more tactical. Now, it always used to surprise me, because it was like, okay, you're in a wagon on the top of a hill, running a generator, with a 40-foot metallic mask whacking out a massive radio signal. Yeah, pretty much every guided ordnance has got something to lock on. Whether it's a radio signal, whether it's a heat signal, you're on the top. You're not even hiding. You know what I mean? It's that you're on the top of a hill. Life expectancy of a radio relay man, should it really kick off, was something like 30 seconds. Yeah, because obviously the first thing you want to do in a battle is take down comms.
Communications,
so they reckon, just RF guided missiles straight in, pop them all. Yeah, so everyone used to say, if war ever kicks off, we'll switch the radios on and run from the wagons.
There'll be the signals.
And if they get taken out, easy job.
Yeah.
Question, Mel and Fred, how do I paint realistic rock for my terrain? Go and have a look at my rock playlist, mate. There's a couple of tutorials in that. Yeah, you can get those. Etch and Sketch are in. Hello. We were talking about you. If you're wondering, guys, Etch and Sketch were one of the nicks that we've just been chatting about. Yeah, he's going to be getting dead paranoid now, isn't he? Nothing bad, Nick. We were just talking about how you're the laser cutter in here. You know what I mean, mate? Yeah. Make blue a bit grey by adding brown. Yeah, that's right. Done that one. Jamie, check out some of the vids. You'll see his work in the dark greys through browns, through dry brush and light colours. Yeah. Good old Clark masts. I remember those well. Were you a Siggy, Tam? Did you have to pump them up? Yeah, they're pneumatic. Okay, they're these metallic masts that they use on the radio vehicles.
Oh right, yeah.
And the idea is you're supposed to use the compressor. Because all army vehicles come with a little compressor, so you can pump the tyres up on them.
Right.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, you don't want to hand pump or try and foot pump an army tyre.
All from a petrol station and all the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And you're supposed to use the compressor to pump them up.
Yes.
Yeah. But pretty much every compressor on every vehicle I've ever come across in the army has been knackered.
I've got one in our car.
And so they have like a backup, which is a stirrup pump.
Oh, right, yes.
And I'll tell you what, it takes about half an hour to pump this huge 40-foot metallic mast up with a stirrup pump.
Oh, my goodness.
And I used to sit there in the med tent watching these Siggies do it, just going, he's going to keel over in a minute. Just watching them get redder and redder as they're trying to get it further and further up.
Yeah. Well, it's like during the war, the tanks, the turrets often were a crank handle. You used to have to...
Oh, can you imagine?
Do that.
Actually, I've done that.
To go round.
We went paintballing in tanks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a place over in where is it? It's by Nottingham, but it's Worcestershire or something like that, or something. I can't remember. It's a W word where where they are. But basically, they've got a load of old tanks, yeah, and what they've done is they've fitted them with massive gas cylinders, changed the mechanic of the firing mechanism, and they fire ping pong balls full of paint out of them. But you have to load the ping pong balls into the breech, and you're in the turret, and you've got to, you actually turn the turret with a little wheel. It's not automatic.
It's just a regular size, not a ping pong ball like that.
No, it's just a standard ping pong ball, 40mm.
Not an 88mm.
No, not 88mm. And basically what they do is, they take you into these woods, and you work in a team of 3. So you've got the tank commander who's got the control of the tank, and he's the instructor from the place. Because he's got the kill switch, he can see everything that's going on. Then you've got driver, loader, gunner. So loader and gunner in the turret, driver's up front. And what you do is, you'll have two teams. So you've got your tank, there'll be another 3 people with another instructor in another tank, and you drive through these woods on this preset path. And as you drive through these woods, this preset path basically gives you opportunities through the undergrowth so you suddenly see the other tank and you get to fire at it. You get a couple of shots off before it buggers off and you move round. And you meet about 5 times through this wood to have these engagements. And the instructors are telling you to fire at the optics of the other tank to blind them with the paint. Absolute blast. I mean, I'll tell you what. I'm never doing normal paintballing again. I mean, paintball in a tank is far more civilised.
I can imagine it would be. We won't get covered in paint and stuff.
Exactly. You don't get bruised.
Just the tank that gets it.
It's far less exhausting. I mean, I've been proper paintballing about halfway through the day because you've got that much on. You've got the protective mask. It's like, I'm running nowhere. I'm running nowhere at all. Right. Did it. Someone's moved into 3D printing. Armageddon, Leicestershire. That's it. That's the place. Obviously not something beginning with W, Leicestershire. Why was I thinking W? Evening, Jazz? Right. I want to quickly check my phone because I'm expecting a message off Kez. She's going out to work tonight, so I just want to make sure she's headed off all right. Oh, we've had some PayPals as well. As usual, because Fred's on the show, I'm splitting it with Fred. So any donations tonight? I'm about 25 quid off my studio total for the audio. I just need another mic stand here and a cable, and we're good. So thank you, guys. My target for tonight is 25, so if I hit that, I'll be very happy. But as always, when someone comes on the show and shares their information, I divvy up, the donations because we're all learning here.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. You know what I mean? I mean, trust me, my work has improved knowing you. So it's the only thing to do. Yeah, Kez just wishing me have a good show. Kez has got to sit under a tree tonight. For 6 hours.
She's watching for the bats again.
Watching for the bats again. She had a great one last night. Kez went out, and spent 7 hours watching a tree for bats. Got home, got to file the report. Realised the supervisor had given her the wrong tree number, and she spent 7 hours sitting under the wrong tree.
I once remember I was with some friends fruit picking in Evesham. We camped in a fruit orchard. And the first night we got a fruit bat hanging off the end of the tent. And the next day, the farmer said to us, tonight you'll have 50 on there because they colonise. And once you've left one in a place and you don't bother it, then all its friends will have it. Sure enough, the next night, their tent was sagging. All hanging off. we had to throw apples at the tent to get them all to fly off.
Right. Okay. Just a couple of PayPal so far. Thank you, guys. I've got to do my stream hero things. Right, we have, let me check these. Dan sent in £1. Thank you, Dan. Question for Fred. I know you're doing digital. I know from doing digital art that you can't just use a dark tint of the same colour to make shadows.
Right.
Yeah. How would you go about mixing? How would you mix? What would you mix? Bit of broken English. I'm struggling with that. Basically, what would you mix with a light blue to make a shadowed variant of the colour? So if you were painting light blue, Now, this sounds weird because this doesn't sound terrain. This sounds like proper painting. Yeah. So if you're trying to do a bluey shadow, how would you do it?
Well, it depends on the light. Actually, is the first question. First
right.
answer.
Okay.
Depends on the light.
Of course, because it's a shadow.
Well, yeah. In sunlight, in broad sunlight, in the middle of the day, then you probably get. Well, again, it depends on what the shadow is cast on as well. The colour of the ground. But generally speaking, you get like a complementary cast to the colour that's in the sunlight, in the shadow. So for blue, you get a slightly lavenderish kind of shadow, dark but lavender. So you'd probably on a warm sunny day you'd warm the shadow, so you make it darker than the blue, or darken the ground colour, I should say, but with reflected blue in it. So you'd use a kind of like a warm lavender to get that reflected blue in the colour. Sometimes you could just add black for a shadow. It really does depend on both the time of day that you're depicting and also what kind of terrain it is that the shadow's on.
Yeah, because of course you'd have to also. It'd be the shadow would be cast onto a colour itself, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you've got a blue object on a green lawn,
yeah,
obviously then you're going to have a different coloured shadow on that than you would if you had a blue object on the Sahara Desert, on sand.
And let me just cut in very quickly. Callum has done us a blinder. He sent us 20. Thank you, buddy.
Cheers.
Yeah, he obviously appreciated our last answers. As always, guys, if you are enjoying the information, etc., there's links down below to the old PayPal and that sort of stuff. I should get notifications. Just go for the straight PayPal link tonight, and I'll give shout-outs as always. And remember, tonight, because me and Fred are on, it gets split both ways. I'm only after... We've had another... Oh, just another quick one. Right, I'll do one more, then we'll do it. I'll get this sorted because I don't want to keep flicking to my phone, and then we'll do some in about 15, 20 minutes if there's any more. Yeah, but someone's just gone, so let's get these on. Yeah, Joanne M sent us a couple of nuggets.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy. There you go. Right. So, get those guys on the screen. Thank you, guys. Right, let me just sort this lot and move this lot out of the way. Yeah, so I've got it for tomorrow when I'm back in. You're looking, aren't you? You're curious.
Yes, and I'm trying to actually
envisage it.
What they're going to look like with the leaves on them.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So we took the leaves off before I spray painted them.
Makes sense.
Right, so and a bottom one. So the leaves come in very quickly. They're plastic moulded. Yeah, so if I just show you guys, we've got two sorts of plastic moulds. We've got that one, and then we've got the sort of withered, faded one for underneath. Yeah, and so very simply, they would go onto that. And then that's it. Onto there, just about. And that is your palm tree.
That's pretty impressive, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, these colours are awful. Yeah, or I feel they're awful. So my job is I need to I need to spray paint these, get some real
slightly primary,
Yeah. I just need to. I want to get some feathering, some dryness towards the edges, like you get on the wilt.
Like in a hot climate,
You often see with palm trees, you see the greener at the top and then slowly turn into the yellowy brown.
They get brown at the ends, because, lack of water and everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So also it's the growth pattern. That's how palm trees grow.
Yeah.
Those fronds die off.
Right.
Yeah, and they grow out the top. Yeah. So each time you see the wilting, that's actually like a tree layer.
Oh, okay. It's like the old growth. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you actually look at palm trees, if you actually look at these ridges, what these ridges are the bases of the fronds.
Oh, yeah.
If you actually look at it up close, they're very rarely circular like that.
Yeah.
What you often find is they're actually leaves that have broken down.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realise that.
Yeah, and so that's how a palm tree grows through its actual plumage.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than the actual tree trunk growing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a weird setup. But let me move these.
Interesting. That's the wonderful thing about being an artist, that you learn all kinds of things about all kinds of things.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Right, that's the only one I've used so far, so I need to save that one. I can figure out the rest as I go. Yeah, I know what colours I've got to work with in the past, so we can sort that.
Oh, wow, you've got a lot.
Oh, yeah, I think I've got about 48. Yeah, which is for a start, just to get me warmed up, you know what I mean, while I get used to it. Once I get the technique down, I'll be able to knock out a lot more.
Yeah.
So we'll get these moved, and then we'll talk about what I really want to play with this show. Yeah. You know how Ash does a resin stuff?
Yeah.
So have I.
Oh,
that's a bluey blue, isn't it?
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Right, that goes up there. That's Burma Build. I've been working on different concentrations.
Very close to being pure cobalt.
Being pure what?
Well, I thought it was pure cobalt, actually, but it's a little bit more manganese-y.
See, he knows this stuff.
It's just got slightly greenish cast there, a bit more manganese. In the old days, they used to be called azurite for blue.
Azurite?
That's a mineral as well.
Azurite?
Azurite, yeah.
That's out of 40k, isn't it? There's a guy in 40k called something like that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And he wears blue armour.
Ah, there you go. Azurite, yeah. It is a mineral, yeah. Blue mineral.
Yeah. Plastic palm trees don't count. Laura says that's cheating. Oh, stop it, Laura. Plastic flamingos to go with them. Oh, watch her. Our Belinda would love that. She loves the flamingos and the pink stuff, doesn't she?
Oh, right, yes.
Right. Okay, put those over there. I need to move my ident sign. So, I need to go over there. So many things in this studio. I'm just glad I can actually sort it now. Right.
It's a bit like my studio. It's my studio most of the time is an organised mess.
I had a massive.
It's organised though.
I've had a massive blitz, to be truthful, and I finally got it to the stage where I want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's looking good.
Everything's in place, and I can do what I want to do now.
It's good to always be able to find what you need to find at the drop of the hat. It's really irritating when you're in the middle of a project and you can't find something.
Well, one of the common things on my live streams and my videos is, right, I need this. Right, where is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And slowly I've narrowed it down. I've got everything I need relatively to hand.
It's a bit like a musician. If you think about it, a piano player knows where all the keys are without looking, you know.
Yeah.
Most people can play the piano, can do it with their eyes closed.
Corbin's getting good.
They know exactly where the keys are by feel. Yeah.
I've been teaching Corbin. Well, I haven't been teaching him. I've had his music teacher teach him what you call it, the 4-chord song.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the 4-chord song?
I have actually. I don't know what it is though.
The 4-chord. It's basically the majority of pop songs can be sung to 4 chords or are based on these 4 chords.
C, D, E, and F.
Yeah, that's it. And what you call it, and so if you can nail these down, you can do most pop songs. Yeah. And so Corbin's been absolutely nailing it.
Especially punk.
Yeah. Well, what you call it? We've been watching an Australian band called Axis of Awesome. They're a comedy band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they do this 4-chord songs sort of sketch, and they go through it all. Hilarious, mate. It's really good, but at the same time, because they're a comedy band. Yeah. It's also funny.
Yeah, I was playing guitar years ago, and about 4 chords is about how many I could do.
I gave it a go, but that's about as far as I got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Good evening, Hakamalui. Yeah, Red Green, Jazz. Fred all fully recovered now. Well, I mean, one hand's doing good, one's still
mid.
Yeah, you're mid-treatment, aren't you, mate?
Mid-term.
Oh, did you see that?
Oh, wow.
Oh, I've got a stone circle down there, a henge.
Oh, yes, yeah. So that's like the heel stone.
Yeah.
Nice one, yeah.
Heel stone?
Yeah.
What's a heel stone?
Part of the Stonehenge kind of configuration was something called a heel stone, and I think that was where they actually did the sacrifices
Right.
You know, all the other stones are kind of around it, but the heel stone's kind of the one in the middle.
The special one.
Yeah.
Right, learned something new. I wish I knew that before I finished the video.
It's like good granite colour, don't that?
Yeah, it's come out all right. Just a basic stick. All it is grey with a little bit of yellowing.
Yeah.
You know,
it works very well.
A couple of light washes over it, but it's come out all right.
Yeah.
Right, got those. I need the resin ident sheet. Yeah. These have become part of my life. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm doing that many videos now that I'm losing track when I get home of what scene is with what. Because I'm filming off 3 cameras as well. So by the time I get home, if you think film a little bit, do some, film a little bit more, I'm walking home with like 50 videos from a day. And then I've got to sit down and organise, right.
Do an editing job, yeah?
Well, not just that. On top of that, I've got this situation where I can work on a few different projects through a day and work on, work a bit on this, go to this, come back to this.
Yeah.
And so actually figuring out which videos belong in which actual folders and projects is a challenge.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I came up with these. Yeah. And basically all it is the title of the video, which this one is Terrain Lab Resin Tints. And then I do like Roman numerals as I go along.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know which scene it is, so I can just... Because what happens is when you load the videos...
It's a clapperboard.
Yeah, very much so. But when you load the videos onto your computer, a video will always show the very first scene, very first second.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I'm holding this up when I press record, this appears in the thumbnail.
Oh, what a good idea.
Yeah, so I can just see in the thumbnail straight away. And then all I've got is F, D, and C. And that's face, desk, and close-up. So that one's face, that one's desk, and that one's close-up. And then depending on how I'm holding it, where my thumb is, tells me which camera it is.
Oh, very clever. Yeah, so this was like a coded label.
Yeah, very much. And I've just got different sheets for all my different projects. Yeah. So I can actually keep track of what's going on.
Right.
Yes. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing that many now, it's getting a bit confusing. See you soon, guys. Always learn stuff with Fred. Oh, so do I. Right. So I need to modify this because this is sort of an insert into a video with our Fredicus. So I'm going to put F1. So I know when I start recording that this bit's with Fred in it, because this will actually go I'll have to put this in further on in the video, so I'll have to record more stuff tomorrow and then put what we do tonight in after it, so it's in a logical sense.
Yeah.
So that's why that exists.
Okay.
Right, so before we get stuck in, right, what I've got is, obviously, this is clear resin, now it's tinted, using colours, and you can use all sorts of acrylics, you can use acrylics, you can use pigments, and you can use special translucent pigments and dyes and stuff like that with it.
Right, yeah.
Well, I've got these, which is translucent pigment sets.
Okay.
Yeah, now these are from the manufacturer, and all I'm trying to establish is some colours off them. Okay. So first off, the colours we have. Yeah, we've got burnt sienna.
Okay, that's a good colour, yeah.
Yeah. Turquoise.
Right.
Red. Yellow. Green. Orange. We've then got black. We've got a purple. And then we've got Prussian blue.
Prussian blue, yeah.
Yeah, and then colour. We've just got what is their blue. Yeah,
right,
which is
like a true blue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that one, isn't it? Yeah, that's that one.
Yeah, Prussian blue is very dark and slightly greenish blue.
Yeah.
So that's a very useful colour for deep seas, actually.
Yeah.
Prussian blue, yeah, it is really, yeah.
So what I need to do, is I need to mix these colours to get a colour I can drop into my resin that's more realistic for water.
Than this. Okay, yeah.
Do you see the challenge I'm facing?
Yeah. Well, what kind of water? That sounds like a funny question, but what kind of water? I mean, is it for Pacific or North Atlantic or?
Well, let's be honest. Yeah, we've got
generic.
There's Pacific. They're both Pacific, aren't they? Mediterranean.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Atlantic, isn't there?
Yeah,
so how about if we tackle how we do those 3 main blues?
Okay.
You up for that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Right.
They are different, actually. Surprisingly, you think blue is blue, but it's like most things in colour. Once you really start, breaking it down, you discover that all kinds of.
Can you do a green colour? We're going to, but I want to nail blue first.
Yeah, there's green. There's green in the water as well. Yeah, green colour. Yeah.
Mel's got the clapboard. Yes, I've got a clapboard. Thinking of going to Twitch, but not.
Take one, scene two.
Right, yeah, always good. We're caught up. Right, so we've got a bit of a white sheet so we can have a bit of a play. Would you like a close-up camera on this, guys? Shall I see what the other cameras are like for this so you can see what we're doing? So where's our sheet? There's our sheet. I need to bring that camera across a bit, a little. Can I mount it? What can I do? I'm just trying to think what's the best way of doing that. I'm not sure if we can. I think what we might have to do is just bring it closer. I might have to go hands-free here. Can I move it up here and just mount it off there? So that's probably a bit better, isn't it? 2 seconds. There we go. And if I go into this, webcam. Where's the webcam? Configuration. Yeah. Configure. Video output. Configure. Video input. Come on. Yeah, and then zoom that a bit.
Oh, he's made a stick on trend.
Say again?
He's made a stick on trend.
Yeah, they're made just up the road from me.
Yeah.
Which is a bonus. So, there we are. Now we can see what we're doing.
Oh, I've got my order of battle there, more or less.
Your order? Oh my God! How many of them are you? Right. So,
I don't think we'll be able to use the reds and yellows or the orange, but all the rest are pretty much in different combinations. We should be able to use.
Yeah. So we've got black, purple, blue, Prussian purple, Prussian blue, turquoise, burnt sienna, and green. Right. Okay. Right. So first off, obviously, I've got to get this. I've got to get this on film. So we need to do a little bit of filming before we start.
Okay.
Yeah, just so I can put it in context, and then what I'll do is, I've got the cameras running, so I'll just leave them running, and then I can grab little bits out of it for the video. It's a Train Lab video, so it doesn't need to be so formal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's messing around bits, sort of.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. So let me just check that one. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, you're on screen there, and there. So let me do my idem panels. Sorry, guys, it's just what we've got to do. So, resin with Fred. Is that one done? Best. I've got to hold it there. Sorry. It's all right, mate. It's not you, it's me. It's because I'm zoomed in on this. There we go. That one's done. And then finally this one. So,
I'm fascinated by your room. I could sit here all day and just look at all the stuff that you've got on the shelves, all the different things that you've got.
I've got tons of stuff, mate. Absolute tons.
Misty Moorlands.
The Misty Moorlands, yeah, they're cardboard hex tiles that you put together to make landscapes.
Tundras, yeah. Right.
Yeah, so all sorts, absolutely all sorts. Right.
Incredible.
Yeah, dried moss, grass. I've got a big box of grass up there, and it's just full of grass. Yeah, horsehair, Star Trek. The stuff I have on my shelves, it's crazy. Right. So, right, I need to kick this one in. So we're on that camera up there, mate.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry too much about the cameras because we're just going to sort of just go with the flow with this, and we'll grab what we can out of it. But I need to introduce it and just put it in context. Right. So here we go. Okay, guys, we've reached the bit where we really, although we're working out our resin tints and that sort of stuff, we're using their core colours. Yeah, and we need more realistic colours for what we want, more natural colours. And so it seemed only appropriate that I get the person I know knows the most about colours, who happens to be just underneath me. Yeah, our Fredicus. If you don't know Fredicus, yeah, Fred's a regular on the live shows. Frederick Phillips. Yeah, world-renowned oil painter, and yes, he'll blush and he'll watch it, but this dude's famous, and you've spent your entire life doing colours. Yeah.
Yes.
He has a passion for landscapes, architecture, that sort of stuff, which means when it comes to terrain, he really knows his colours. Yeah. You don't do many portraits, do you?
No, actually, portraits is something I don't do. Yeah.
Just because how difficult it is with people being happy about them. I know Kez doesn't do portraits.
It is actually, yeah, it's pretty much like that because basically there's only two ways of doing a portrait. One is to flatter the sitter, and the other is to paint realistically. And either which way,
you're not going to win.
You're not going to win because either which way, usually the sitter, because people don't see themselves clearly.
Yeah, so it's like your voice. You think your voice is different than it is.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah.
Trust me, I know that one.
If you hear yourself on a tape recorder, you think, God, who's that?
Well, welcome to my life.
Yes, it's very much the same as portraits. So yeah, I tend to avoid them. They can be difficult.
But landscapes and water, you do know.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've set ourselves a bit of a challenge. We've got a load of Easy Composites pigments here. Very quickly to go through them, we've got black, purple, blue, Prussian blue, turquoise, burnt sienna and green. And what we're going to see if we can challenge ourselves to do in this show is we want to see if we can come up with some Atlantic, Mediterranean and Pacific colours by mixing these colours. Now, there is a slight problem. Obviously, it's ratios. I mean, if you've watched, you've obviously been watching the start of the videos, you'll know I've had to up the quantity to mess around with small numbers because I have to increase the numbers, the amount of pigment I'm putting in. The hope is if I can get a formula of Fred of so many drops of this, so many drops of this, I can then mix them in a large batch,
right, yeah.
Make a single dye that I can just drop in, even if it's just like one drop for a small amount, and it will still give me that colour that I can't do. So this is experimenting to come up with a tinting formula, and we're looking at Atlantic, Mediterranean and Pacific. So, Fredicus, right, if we were to do Atlantic, how would you do it? Let me get something for you to mix things with.
Right, yeah.
Do you want a brush or do you want a watch colour? Do you want a stick?
Probably a brush would be better, actually, because I could probably meld this in a bit better with that. Now, the North Atlantic certainly is going to be a kind of a steely grey blue.
Yeah. Right.
So, there's a reason why they paint battleship grey.
Yeah, it's camouflage.
It's because the water in a large portion of the Atlantic, at least, is that kind of like battleship grey colour. You're going to have hints of blue in it as well. And again, it depends on depth, it depends on lots of things. And also the time of day and how sunlit it is. But to start off with the North Atlantic, or Atlantic in fact, I'd start off with some Prussian blue. So Prussian blue, how many? So that's 1, 2.
That's not 1, 2. That's a drop of bottle, dude. That's about 6, 7. All right then, but now I can work with that.
Okay, that's a nice Prussian blue.
Just let me do one quick thing. Very quickly, Fred. Let me just move this camera around to here.
Okay.
Because with both of us at the desk, I think we're going to struggle.
Yeah.
So there we go.
And I've got to experiment a little bit here because we haven't got any white. Ordinarily, if I was mixing these colours, I'd have a bit of white as well.
Right, okay.
But you're using pure colour here, so we're going to get a very deep version of what we want. But then again, this is white. So
that's
this is the burnt sienna.
Yeah.
We want it to come out. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Oh, 5.
That's all right. I've got a cloth. So what would you say ratio? I'd say, so what, 4 parts Prussian, 1 part?
That's about 4 parts. Sorry, there's about 5 or 6 parts Prussian blue and about 3 to 4 parts of the sienna.
Prussian blue.
See how that works out.
5, 6. and the sienna was
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Significantly less, yeah. Now you see we're getting like quite a nice.
Oh yeah, it's gone greeny.
Yeah.
Can you see that, guys?
Yeah.
Just let me. Can I just grab that off you for a second? Yeah, it's taken a green tone to it. It's very nice.
Yeah, that's quite a nice colour. It's not. I'd say there isn't quite enough brown in that. I'd be inclined to put a little bit more of this brown. You've got to bear in mind this is
a little bit more of this brown. We haven't put any in yet, have we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we burnt sienna, isn't it?
There's about 3 drops of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to remember burnt sienna is a slightly reddish brown.
Right.
So let's put another couple of drops in and see how that goes.
Okay.
Oh, there's 3 there.
It's all right.
So now it's almost the same amount of Prussian blue and burnt sienna.
Yeah. So 5, 6.
That's coming out quite a nice grey. Now, if I put white in that, but you can get the same effect by just squiggling it out onto the white colour there. Yeah, quite a nice. Now that's not quite a steel grey.
That's quite green, isn't it?
It's quite green, yeah. That's probably because we've got a reddish brown rather than a bluish brown.
Right. Okay.
That is quite a nice colour, then.
It is.
I like the colour.
I do.
But
it's not what we're after.
No.
So
okay. So let's try putting. Oh, that's green. We need to put in this.
Purple would have red in it, wouldn't it?
Blue. I think.
Or shall we get a red?
Let's try a bit of this. Actually.
What's that?
Well, do you know, actually, yeah, let's try a bit of that red, actually. You're right.
I mean, if we're after it,
because it's the opposite of the green.
Yeah.
On the colour wheel, red's the opposite of green. So we've got it a bit too green.
See a cat.
Which I think we have. And let's see what happens.
Thank you, darling.
Be interesting.
Okay, so this is the red, isn't it?
There's 3 drops of red in there. Like I said, I would have to experiment with this a little bit because I'm
unfamiliar of course. It's a terrain lab, mate.
Only with these particular colours. So.
Okay, so we've got.
Now that's coming out a grey colour.
Yeah, it's definitely knocked it to the grey, hasn't it?
Yeah. See that?
Is it too grey?
I'd say actually for North Atlantic that's not bad.
Really?
It's not bad at all actually, no. Because it should have a slightly greenish touch to it, and try looking at that in isolation by cupping your hands like that, so all you can see is the colour.
Oh yeah.
And suddenly it becomes like battleship grey. Isn't it?
Yeah, now it's settling.
Yeah. So what we had to do, we started off with the blue, Prussian blue, which is a greenish blue.
Yeah.
And then we added the burnt sienna, which is brown, and then a couple of touches of red. And because the red took the green down, and the reddish brown took the green down as well, because the Prussian blue is a greenish blue.
It's really weird because to look at it like that, it looks nothing like it should. But when you do isolate it and you just look at just a tiny bit of the colour, you can actually see it right.
Yeah. If you cup your hands and look at it in complete isolation of everything around it, then you see the colour as it is, rather than in relation to everything around it. That's one way of doing it. Do you want to try another way?
Yeah.
Another way would be to use the blue instead of Prussian blue.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works, because that might work a lot better. Maybe
because the Prussian blue is quite dark, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think is knocking that back quite a lot, which is why we're looking at it. It's like it's not quite right.
Right. Yeah.
That's
quite nice. Yeah. It's not bad. So that's Prussian blue, burnt sienna, and just a couple of spots of red in that.
Yeah, so an equal amount of Prussian blue, equal amount of burnt sienna, and then 1/3 of red.
Just a couple of spots of red in it. Yes, not too much.
No worries, Stemmer, dude.
Okay, that's about 5.
Okay. So this is our standard blue, isn't it?
Yes, it's the standard blue. I'm trying this because it might come out a little bit less kind of greeny grey.
Right. So
see, and this is the burnt sienna. Of those.
So how many blues did we go for?
There's about 4 blue and a couple of burnt sienna. Let's see what that comes out like. Because the purer blue
Oh.
Might be interesting. Needs more burnt sienna, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's got a Mediterranean feel about it.
It is, yeah. Because Mediterranean blue is definitely a bluer blue than what you get in the North Atlantic, which is a greyer, more like a steel blue.
Yeah, so now we're pretty much an equal balance of our blue and our burnt sienna.
This is about 50-50 now, yeah.
It's weird because obviously
It's red again.
Red? We're off with red again.
Either red or purple. What do you think? Let's try a bit of purple. Let's try a bit of purple.
Put a bit of red on one side and a bit of purple on the other.
Okay.
And we'll just drag one side to one and one side to the other. We'll see which one we like.
Whenever you're doing anything like this, it's always interesting to experiment anyway, because sometimes you can discover a colour mix that you didn't expect.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point of terrain labs, to be truthful.
Yeah.
To actually play with things and work things out.
Right, yeah. So the red.
Oh, I don't know. Bit.
Probably a bit too much red in that, maybe. Well, on the nose.
It's
working its way out quite nicely there. Once you drag it out into the white area, so it's translucent and got light coming through it, you begin to see the colour a little bit more clearly.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we'll have to do is, once we've got some rough calculations of the colours, actually do them in the resin, yeah, and see what they look like as a water on the resin, because it's quite hard on these to actually get a good idea, because they're tints, aren't they, at the end of the day?
That's true, but as I'm doing this, I'm beginning to think this is better.
Yeah,
actually, the blue and the purple.
That was the purple at the bottom, wasn't it?
Yes. The pure blue with just a little bit of purple in it or a little bit of red in it. You've got those two results, which are quite different.
They're very nice.
Yeah, and the one with the purple in, I'd perhaps put a little bit less in. You can see that's quite.
Yeah, actually, that's quite nice here. So we're talking Atlantic, aren't we? Which is like the dark, moody. Yeah. So if I bring that up very quickly, hopefully you guys can see what we're looking at there. Yeah, and that's pretty good, actually, to be truthful.
You can see better where it's dragged out onto the white. You can see better the colour is better. And in actual fact, you could use either of those colours for North Atlantic, depending on the colour of the light.
Now, one was purple, the other one was red, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we could go red one.
Quite a simple mix, that, yeah. Just blue and red or blue and purple.
Atlantic.
Just as a matter of interest, let's just try a touch more purple in that, see what happens.
Go on, man.
Maybe it will come out even more interesting. 2-3 drops of the purple.
The way he goes through my materials, it's unbelievable.
I know, I'm expensive.
Yeah, you are. I don't know with how expensive your paints are.
Oh, I throw a horrible amount of paint away, believe me.
Really?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really nice, actually, with that extra bit of red.
That was purple.
With that extra purple?
Yeah. With the extra purple ends come out a nice colour.
Yeah, I mean, that's really nice. That would work very well, I think, for the resin.
Yeah. So, again, that's about the same amount of blue and purple.
So, if... do you see that one? This colour here? Yeah. I've got to sort of get it where you can see it, but that's really nice, mate. I reckon, I can play with that for the Atlantic. Do you know what I mean? And actually get that into some resin and see how it comes out. You can see the difference, can't you?
Yeah.
Just the difference between red and purple.
Wow, yeah, it really is a significant difference between that and that. Yeah. Interesting.
Right, so we have our Atlantic, and I've seen your lovely wife commenting. So she's watching the feed. What's Pat saying? So never get tired of watching Fred paint, even though we've been together nearly 40 years. To be truthful, Pat, I can completely understand that, because I wouldn't get tired of watching Fred paint either.
It's amazing how many different colours we've got coming out of just this colour mix. That's the pure blue with a little bit of red in it. But that's got hardly any red in. Oops. That's got hardly any red in. That's got a bit more red in. and that's the blue with the purple in. So you've got the three quite distinctly different colours.
So this one is basically the blue and burnt sienna, isn't it?
That's blue and just a small amount of burnt sienna, yeah.
Blue plus burnt sienna.
Sienna, yeah.
This one was...
And that's the blue with purple.
That's the blue with purple.
Yeah.
The reason being I'm doing this is because I've got to replicate this afterwards. Yeah, and actually, you know, turn this into something I could put into what you call it. And this one was... this was the bottom red, wasn't it? We were
No. We started off with the red, and then I put purple in the next one. So I think you got the wrong way around. Actually, I think this one should be the blue and the burnt sienna, and this is the blue with the purple.
Ah, this is blue with purple.
Yeah.
Right.
Both of which are reddish colours. So when you put them in the blue, it takes the blueness of the blue off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It makes it less intensely blue.
So if we were, which one do you reckon for Atlantic? Any of these?
I'd say one of these two actually is best.
I would, because it's water. Yeah, with my lot, it needs to go closer to the blue than to the grey, if you know what I mean.
Right, so then you probably need this then, yeah.
So what was that one?
That's the blue and the purple.
That's just blue and purple.
Yeah.
So
which comes out quite a nice blue actually, and that's a good. Both of those colours are good for North Atlantic. That would be a dull, cloudy day.
Yeah.
And that would be a sunny day.
Right.
Basically, so effective the light on the
water.
So
what we've done is we've mixed blue with burnt sienna, and then by adding a bit of purple, we've got our Atlantic colour. Because our original mix was blue and burnt sienna in the middle.
Yeah, it was blue and burnt sienna to get this kind of like grey.
Yeah.
And then the blue and the purple to get this bluish kind of colour. The purple, obviously, with the blue, because purple has got blue in it, hasn't broken the blue as much as putting the burnt sienna in the blue has.
Right, okay.
So putting the burnt sienna in the blue has broken the blue and made it to grey. Putting the purple in the blue has made it into this kind of like nice kind of North Atlantic blue. And
if I very quickly bring this up for you guys, yeah, that blue there is what we're looking at, and it is a grey desaturated blue. It does look really nice, yeah. And I reckon once we actually get that in some resin, on some decent backing, we're on a winner. So we've got Atlantic sorted. Mel is a happy chappy.
But you could use any of those colours that are on that palette there as a North Atlantic colour. From the green to the almost black to the palish.
I suppose it goes back down to that thing is what time of day.
What time of day, what the light is like,
yeah,
how
what
deep
the cloud
water is, how choppy it is, whether it's fairly still or whether it's choppy. When it's choppy, you get less reflection from the sky, obviously.
Right, so you get darker colours.
So you get darker colours.
But you get the harsh contrast from the choppiness with the white, don't you?
That's right, yeah. You get very darks and very lights, and you get like a greyish kind of green.
So choppy seas, we're looking at high contrast between a dark and a light, and you would be a more pleasant sea. We'd probably go with something that's a bit more, not blended, but more uniform or more subtle change.
And less reflective of the colour of the sky as well. Yeah, it goes.
So more true to the colour of the water and what's underneath.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so the actual waterness of the colour of the water is more apparent when it's choppy. When it's still, or when the water's fairly flat or still, not just a few ripples, and it will reflect the sky a lot more accurately.
Right. Okay.
And when it's choppy, it'll be grey.
Okay. So we've done Atlantic. Yeah. Right. Do you want Mediterranean or Pacific next, sir?
Have you got an endless supply of these?
I've got tons of them, man. I've got tons of them.
Okay, let's try the Mediterranean.
All right, very quickly, I wanted to make sure that everyone in the chat all right? If you've got any questions as we're going, what are you testing inks on? What material? Acrylic? Yeah, it's just basically white sheets of acrylic.
Okay, so we'll start off again with the base blue, which is your pure blue.
So what are we doing? Pacific are we doing or Mediterranean?
Mediterranean.
Med.
So nice cool blue. That's
so standard blue?
True blue, yeah. And let's try a bit of the turquoise in that.
Okay.
See what happens. So that's 3 or 4 drops of the blue and a couple of drops of the turquoise.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. See, I'd use that for all water.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice Mediterranean blue, that is, isn't it, actually?
So
yeah.
it's a 3-to-2 ratio. That's really nice.
Yeah,
You've nailed that straight off the bat.
A bit of turquoise. Well, because the Mediterranean is a kind of a greenish blue.
So it's an easy one to replicate.
So yeah, a bit easier than North Atlantic, which tends to be a bit more grey, and so that you've got to mix it a little bit more with. You've got to break the colour a little bit more with the North Atlantic.
Right.
Whereas for the Mediterranean, it's a purer.
We've nailed that in one, haven't we?
That's pretty good, yeah, for Mediterranean,
yeah. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Check that out, guys.
I fluked that.
Yeah, fluked it. That's what 40 years of art experience fluking does. Okay, 3 parts blue, 2 parts turquoise, and I reckon we've nailed that for the Mediterranean in one. Yeah, we nailed that a lot quicker than we did the Atlantic, to be truthful. You love messing with colours, don't you?
Oh yeah, and it's amazing what the different things with your fingers as opposed to using the brush.
Yeah.
So you can get it from dark to almost pale white, pale blue level. Yeah. Yes, that's nice. That's a nice reflective blue for the Mediterranean when it's not too choppy. I mean, actually, the Mediterranean could be choppy as well sometimes.
Yeah.
In which case, you'd have to revert back to colours that are a bit greyer.
So you'd have to go back and break the blue to get the grey in again.
A little bit more, yeah. Probably a little bit of brown in there as well as the turquoise. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Mediterranean, we've nailed it. I'll be honest with you. That came a lot easier than the Atlantic. The Atlantic was struggling around trying to find and what you call it.
Yes,
what I'd like to do before we knock off is go back to the Atlantic. Now we've done it.
Yeah.
And much like this, go dirt. Let's see if we can nail it in just a simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now we've played with it a bit.
Yeah, after experimenting, yeah.
Yeah, I think with the Atlantic we moved that much around a bit that it got a bit convoluted information wise, and I got a little bit lost in it.
So no.
So true.
I'm not the only one.
No, mate, this is it. But this is playing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But, well, that's a voyage of discovery. Literally a voyage.
Yeah, Mediterranean blue. There we are. 3 parts blue, 2 parts turquoise. So I can mix that up in.
It's a straightforward one. That one.
Right, Pacific.
Now, Pacific's interesting because you've got coral, you've got light sand as well. The sand tends to be quite light.
Well, if you think about it this way, yeah, I'll be painting underneath this with other colours.
Right.
Yeah, so think of it just purely a water. So if you couldn't see the bottom, so to speak, so deeper than perhaps 10 foot or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's look at the watercolour before, because I mean, one of the things that I've got to do after this is I've got to basically go with and do a load of different undertones so we can put the resin on top.
Right.
Yeah, because if you think about it, they won't be painted on white, will they?
No, it's colour on colour, yeah.
Yeah,
so
so
that will complicate things. Actually,
yeah, but I mean, if we can get somewhere to start off with,
right,
then we can adjust as needs be, whether we adjust our base colour or whether we adjust our resin tint. But if we can get the colour looking right on white, then it's a reference we can go from.
Yeah. What you can also do as well is vary the tonal values of your base colour.
Yeah, we do that.
So when it's deeper, it's darker.
Yeah, we do that as standard. I did that on my. Do you remember when I did my map board?
I remember, yes.
Yeah, and the central areas I went darker so that once we put the resin over it, it looked deeper.
Right.
Yeah, so that's something we already do. Yeah, it's just getting the look of the resin right. That's the challenge because it's a colour issue. Yeah, so we've done the Mediterranean, we've done the Atlantic, we're now on the Pacific. Just give me 2 seconds. There you are, it's fixed. So, sorry, 2 blue, yeah? Oh!
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a little, just a touch off, isn't it?
It's a little green, yeah, but that's kind of, that's actually not nice.
You quite like that, don't you?
That's quite a nice colour, that.
Not just us then. What do you mean, not just you? What did the Atlantic mix end up? To be truthful, Pat says we've gone offline, but we're still here. We're still broadcast. Drop frames, quality. Yeah, I think I think YouTube's playing up for a little glitch there. Let me know if it still continues, Guy. Randy, can you let me know if it's Red Green saying we're back? Yeah, with regards to the Atlantic, we've had a bit of a play, and even me and Fred are like, yeah, let's go back to that and just nail that one. But that
bit too green. So what we need to do is put a dash of purple in it, which is a reddish.
So we went for 5 turquoise, 2 blue, yeah.
And I'm just going to put a total of 2 spots purple. Well, 3 spots as it turns out.
Yeah, that's 2.
Of the purple. Well, let's try see what happens there. Interesting.
Has that darkened it up too much with the red? Oh no, no, it's nailed it. Ah.
Good for Pacific, I think. In the shallows, it'd obviously be paler.
Yeah. But we would do that with the undercolours, wouldn't we?
But the undercolours, yeah.
Because I mean, the one thing about the resin is, I know Ash has shown us. I mean, have you seen that piece up there? Seen the white and the blue mixed in? That's 2 different colours of resin mixed with a heat gun.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So this is where I'm taking this.
Yeah. That's a very interesting fact, actually.
Yeah.
Very atmospheric.
But yeah, I mean, at the minute it looks a bit more like clouds than it does oceans. But that's because it's a 2D effect. Once we build waves onto it, it'll start looking more like foam and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
So this is where we're going with this. But I like that Pacific colour, mate.
Yes, I think this is about right for the Pacific, actually. Again, it's not as green as the blue, the blue for the Mediterranean.
Well, that purple's pulled it off, hasn't it, with the red in the purple?
Yeah, putting the purple in has like broken the bluish cast of it, to a certain degree.
Oh yeah, let me show them.
Quite a nice.
Nice so, Pacific colours. Yeah, Fredicus has gone for. Let me get that there. Yeah, 5 of turquoise, 2 of blue, and 2 of purple, and it has come out really nice. Yeah, it does look right.
Again, if you can isolate the colour from everything around it, and just kind of like look at it through.
Yeah, it's bang on.
Hands.
I mean, I think concentration will matter, but that goes back to how many drips I put in so much resin, not the actual colour.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So the more of this mix I put in, the darker it will be.
I'm with you.
So that's how that's how I would regulate the colour change between the dark and the blue. It'd actually be the amount of stuff I put in the resin.
Yes, because you're using pure colour without any white in it, so it's pure colour.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting. So we've got our Pacific, we've got our Mediterranean, and now we're feeling a little bit more comfortable. Shall we go back to Atlanta? Don't do that, dude.
Back to the Atlantic, yeah. Because
Right, let me get a fresh sheet. Yeah, so we don't get too lost again.
Okay. Some of those colours are pretty good, though. I quite like.
Which one would you go for?
Well,
I mean, personally, I like that one.
I think that bluey grey, right, which is that one right at the top there, the pale bluey grey. The grey underneath it is a little bit too grey, but that's, I think, pretty good actually.
Yeah. So very quickly, so guys,
that was the blue and the was that the Prussian blue? You started off with that.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. So we're going to have a go at replicating that one and seeing if we can figure out how we did it.
Yeah. How did I do that? Actually,
do you know what? We can go back and watch the live show and figure it out.
Sometimes I do a painting and at the end I just think, how did I do that? I don't always remember.
So
it is sometimes intuitive the way you kind of make these decisions.
Right, what are we on now?
Prussian blue.
Brush blue. 4
Prussians and 2 purple.
2 purple.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get that back to that blue again that we used for the Atlantic. And too much purple, I think.
Throw a bit more blue back in. Actually,
mind you, there.
No, it's stretching out all right. That's a little bit more desaturated.
It's a little bit bluer, isn't it? Actually, yes, a bit bluer.
Yeah, it is. Just a touch.
It's a bit closer to the med blue.
Yeah. I mean, it is stronger. Do you know what I mean?
So my punch would be to just put a spot of red in that.
One spot of red and warm it a little bit.
Or maybe the burnt sienna would be wiser.
Rather than overpowering it. Eh?
Yeah, well, the red might make it kind of red.
Yeah, so burnt sienna.
So a little bit of burnt sienna in there. Let's try and see what happens with that. I've got a feeling that's probably going to do it.
Do it or knackered it? Actually, I don't know. It's starting to pull together. Yeah,
it's pretty good for North
yeah.
Yeah, it needed a bit of red in it to break the blue. It was a bit
too
blue. If you get it too blue, then it looks like the Pacific or the Mediterranean, which more kind of warm climate.
Turquoise. It's quite interesting because the Med we've gone for blue and turquoise. Pacific is turquoise, blue, and purple.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's blue, purple, and the burnt sienna. So we're still using quite a lot of common colours, but it's only the touch and the slight variation that makes a difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a combination. It's the quantity, I think, of each in terms of the base colour.
That looks more towards that one now.
Yeah, it does a bit actually. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's quite interesting. That is quite a nice colour for North Atlantic. I wouldn't say that was too far off.
Right.
Pretty good colour for North Atlantic now.
So if it wasn't the burnt sienna, was it the red?
It must have been.
Right, okay. Let's give this
a touch of red in there.
Yeah. So, not that one. Let's see if we can figure this one. Let's give it another go. So that's Atlantic 1. We quite like that. But let's see if we can get desaturated.
I've seen the North Atlantic that colour actually, but it would have to be
quite stormy.
Yeah, I'd say quite a grey day. Yeah, a stormy day. Yeah, choppy.
Yeah.
When you get that kind of like what would you call that? It's kind of like taupe blue, isn't it? It's like a greyish blue.
Yeah.
That's not bad. But that's what we were.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for, isn't it?
So.
I mean, I could do all of these anyway. You know what I mean? So we can give this a crack. What if you undercoat silver versus white? All those sort of things, will work, but we've got to get the basic colours right before we go messing with the undertones. Yeah? Yes, someone please deep water and clear all the way down. Eh? I'm not sure what that means. I'm drinking port and eating cheese and crackers, you lucky bugger, Fred. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Right, let's give it another go. Yeah, and we'll see if we can nail that one. Because we've got that one down, haven't we? That's that. Bang on.
That's actually quite a nice colour, yeah, but it's kind of halfway between the two extremes that we got there. Between the one that came out too green and the one that came out a bit too blue.
Yeah, so that's that one.
Let's try another. Try the blue. Mind you, I think the brush